This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Delini Gunawardena and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The Inland Revenue Act is to be amended soon. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena meets the Russian ambassador. The public is requested to use water sparingly. The State Minister Shehan says successful IMF review will portray positive image for Sri Lanka's investors. New e-gate counters will be set up at the Bandaranaike International Airport. And on international news, most of West Africa is ready to join standby force in Niger. Sports news, cricket, fixtures announced for West Indies Under-19 tour of Sri Lanka. The chairman of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Carrying Out National Economic and Physical Affairs, Mahindananda Alutgamage, said the action will be taken to amend the Inland Revenue Act in collaboration with the Minister of Justice in the hope of enhancing the national tax mechanism. Amendment in Act is of vital significance since the government expects tax revenue of 3,105 billion rupees for the year. Yet 1,179 billion rupees have been earned by the Excise Department, Sri Lanka Customs and the Department of Inland Revenue so far, even though the IMF has instructed the government to achieve the target revenue by December. He further added that the amendment will enable the government to take action against the officers who do not carry out their duty regularly. There are many issues in the prevailing tax collection system. Chairman Mahindananda Alutgamage expressed these views at a press conference held at the Presidential Media Centre today. Transport, Highways and Mass Media Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena took part in a special discussion with Russian Ambassador Levan S. Zharkavan at the ministry today. The discussion focused on means of strengthening the diplomatic ties between the two parties. Minister Gunawardena explained about the possible investment opportunities available in the fields of transportation and highways. Various matters of mutual interest, including how to utilize the cutting-edge modern technology to digitalize and transportation of the island, were discussed as well. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board, NWSDB, has urged the public to use water sparingly, raising concerns pertaining to the supply of purified drinking water. It further stated that the overall daily purified drinking water supply capacity has decreased by 9%. The Water Board is directly attending to the needs of the public. Drinking water is supplied to those who are in need through water bowsers. Hambantota, Kurunagala, Bandarawala, Monaragala, Ampara and Ratnapura are some of the areas suffering due to the drought. The Met Department has predicted that showers can be expected in mid-October. Until then, the Water Board requests the public to use water sparingly. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The State Minister of Finance, Shehan Semasinha, has emphasized that receiving the second tranche of the IMF's Extended Fund Facility will portray a positive image of Sri Lanka's economy in the future to both foreign and local investors. Speaking at an event held in Colombo yesterday, Minister Semasinha expressed his confidence that Sri Lanka would receive the disbursement of $333 million following the first review of the IMF, scheduled to get underway next month. Reasoning his confidence in this regard, the State Minister explained that several measures have been taken by the government which are in line with the conditions previously agreed upon with the IMF, including fighting corruption, maintaining financial discipline and carrying out the relevant procedures in a transparent manner. He further highlighted that Sri Lanka's economy is on the right path and is showing clear signs of stabilization, adding that the cost of living too is expected to decrease in the future and that a very reasonable stabilization will be seen by December 2023. The Public Security Minister Tiran Alas paid an observatory visit to the Bandaranaike International Airport today. The minister observed the counters of the immigration and emigration officials in the airport. He further discussed the means of providing a better and more effective service to the air passengers. The minister also paid attention towards the plans of establishing a new e-gate counters. Minister Alas further instructed the authorities to establish a new camera monitoring centre at the airport. The camera system with the latest software would assure the safety of the air passengers. That ends the local news for now.
Listen, no fake news, false flags, it is the real thing. Breaking records, making history, you know we got the big bling. 10 billion bonus all across the island. Ka-ching! Not millions, talking billions, yeah, it is the big win.
History's highest ever short bonus declaration for SLIC life policyholders in 2022 exceeds 10 billion rupees.
10 billion bonus gonna make your dreams come true. 10 billion bonus for you.
Sri Lanka Insurance. Like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The U.S. Ambassador at Large for Cyberspace and Digital Policy, Nathaniel C. Fick, will travel to Sri Lanka from August 20th to the 23rd. According to the U.S. State Department, Ambassador Fick is expected to hold bilateral consultations in Colombo with a range of counterparts in government, private sector and think tanks on cybersecurity, information and communication technologies and digital freedom. During the meeting, he will highlight United States' views on digital economy topics, including priority areas set by India's G20 presidency, digital public infrastructure, security in the digital economy and digital skilling. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
And on Watch Light tonight, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board says an 18-hour water cut is scheduled to take place in several areas, including Colombo and the suburbs, from 8 a.m. on Saturday until 2 a.m. on Sunday. Accordingly, the water cut will be imposed in Colombo, Dehiwala Mount Lavinia, Kaduwala and Kotte Municipal Council areas and the Maharagama, Boralas Gamua, Kolonnava, Kotikawata, Mulleriava, Ratmalana and Katubedda Pradesha Sabha areas. The water cut will be imposed due to essential maintenance work. That came to you in Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
Moving on with world news and the headlines first. Most of West Africa is ready to join standby force in Niger. Over 100 are arrested after churches burned in East Pakistan. North Korea Taekwondo athletes believed headed to Kazakhstan. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has said most of its member states are ready to participate in a standby force that could intervene in Niger following a coup there late last month. Defense chiefs from the 15-member regional bloc met in Accra on Thursday as part of the latest efforts to overturn the ouster of Mohamed Bazoum, Niger's president, who was deposed in a July 26 coup. ECOWAS Commissioner Abdel Fattah Musa said that all member states except those under military rule and Cape Verde are ready to participate in the standby force. Over 100 people have been arrested in an East Pakistan city after thousands of Muslims burned churches and vandalized homes. Violence in Jaswanla was sparked by claims that two Christian men had torn pages from the Quran. The historic Salvation Army Church was still smouldering a day after the riots. Ruins have been surrounded with barbed wire as the situation remains tense in the city. Public gatherings have also been restricted for 7 days in Faisalabad district. A group of people thought to be North Korean Taekwondo athletes have crossed the border into China. They are said to be heading to the Taekwondo World Championships in neighboring Kazakhstan. It marks the first time that Pyongyang has sent sports teams overseas since its COVID border closure in 2020. Sources say they will travel on to Beijing before heading to Kazakh capital Astana. Back to the world news headlines. Most of West Africa is ready to join standby force in Niger. Over 100 are arrested after churches burned in East Pakistan. North Korea Taekwondo athletes believed headed to Kazakhstan. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities from Deshak Sri Lanka in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, including company housemaid, salary 156,000 rupees, 23 to 57 years. Contact 037 7500 500.
Coming up with development news, I beg your pardon, Sri Lankan Airlines has resumed direct flights between Colombo and Jeddah as per a notice issued by the national carrier. Flights between Colombo and Jeddah resumed on Tuesday and are scheduled to operate thrice a week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Sundays. Sri Lankan Airlines also offers daily flights to Saudi Arabia with one flight each to Dammam and Riyadh directly from Colombo. That came to you in development news.
Job opportunities for women from Deshak Sri Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Company housemaids, caretakers and home cooks in Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can now travel overseas free of charge. Branches Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Mathura. Contact number 037 7500 500. Deshak Sri Lanka Foreign Development Agency.
Sports news. The West Indies under-19 men's team are set to tour Sri Lanka in September this year to take part in 2 youth tests and 3 youth ODIs. The tour will begin with a warm-up game which will be played on the 25th of this month at the CCC grounds in Colombo. The 3-match ODI series will be played from 27th August to 1st September at the Dambulla International Cricket Stadium. It will be followed by 2-match Test series which has been scheduled to be played from 5th September to 15th September at the same venue. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Edith Cowan University, ECU, Australia, has opened its doors to over 550 students at the new, highly anticipated full-degree accrediting campus in Rajagiriya, Colombo, Sri Lanka. For the first time in Sri Lanka, local and international students can now study Australian university programs in discipline as diverse as biomedical science, cybersecurity, design and commerce at a multi-level purpose-designed campus from their first year of study. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
The Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, SEC, and the Colombo Stock Exchange successfully conducted another investor forum in Negombo at Jetwind Blue recently. The forum was organized with the objective of raising awareness of the importance of investor education and investor protection. The forum attracted approximately 130 participants, including professionals and business communities in the region. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
Except for a few showers in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts, mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. Fairly strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The Inland Revenue Act is to be amended soon. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena meets the Russian ambassador. The public is requested to use water sparingly. The State Minister Shehan says successful IMF review will portray positive image for Sri Lanka's investors. New e-gate counters will be set up at the Bandaranaike International Airport. And on international news, most of West Africa is ready to join standby force in Niger. And on sports cricket, fixtures announced for West Indies under-19 tour of Sri Lanka. That ends this news broadcast.